first pick, and then they switch off. So in a best of 2, that makes a lot of sense. Tempest prioritizing the Garrosh, Diablo, and Blazebands. They're essentially focusing on extremely hard to kill heroes, which makes sense when their first pick is going to be Kerrigan, and you can see TheOne is going for kind of a one-shot comp, honestly. Heavy melee, and they make up for the lack of initiation on their Arthas by having Hanzo, whose arrow is a good initiation mechanic, especially if he does it from the right angle in the right circumstances, whereas Tempest is being like, you know what is good against getting blown up? Medivh. And turns out that's pretty good. I'm actually very surprised to see Medivh let through, and I'll be continually surprised to see Medivh let through if Medivh continues to get let through, because I don't think that should happen. So we can't really do the draft part because everyone already knows what got picked. We can go over the tools that at least exist. So on the left-hand side, we do have Sign on Anub'arak, we have Dami on Kerrigan, Lockdown on Phoenix, Hide on Malfurion, and the Bird. We have Good on the Bird, Medivh. And the right-hand side, we do have Hugo on Mathael, Lies on Thrall, ZJZ on Tyrande, and I'm going to say his name that way every time, on Arthas, and Mang. Surprisingly, not on Ming, but on Hanzo. And you are correct about the scenes. Did not switch back. Nice. Already production issues. Excellent. So here's the acid test. Jeez. Either that's proof that Tehran's not meta in Korea, or Tempest is just bad, because you should never get hit by that first owl. That first owl is basically always coming mid, and you should not get hit by it. And you can see with all that vision, Sign is just trying to stay out. It's really important as a tank player to really be aware of vision and try to stay out of it just as much as possible. And it's not like you're helping clear the wave, you're just checking the flanks at this point and potentially looking for someone who's out of position, looking for someone who maybe aggressively rotates, and he just stops the push. Nicely done. It looks like they're going to use Kerrigan as the offlane. This is something that I'm slightly surprised by, the amount of Kerrigan offlane that we're seeing, but it kind of makes sense with the structure of the draft. You know, the other option they could put up there is Phoenix. Phoenix does somewhat have a favorable matchup in Mathael, but at the same time, you're going to be in this position where you're not going to have as much ranged wave clear in the format at that point, and ranged wave clear is, of course, significantly safer. Medivh, hovering over people. You can see they are catching for the first time, because Sign is not, there's no kill potential because his team is doing the camp, he is stepping up and actually helping to clear the wave. I'm surprised that they're potentially going to miss out on this soak, but it looks like Kerrigan on Dami will get back in time barely. I was really surprised to see that rotation by him, actually. That's not something you normally see from offlaners. Generally, especially in the early game, the prioritization is heavily on the soak. Beautiful portal in, and Mang is dead. There's no way he gets out of the situation. One of the nice advantages that we talk about Medivh enabling low mobility warriors, but if you have a high mobility warrior, they still get enabled. You can gap close and then still have your personal gap closer available for situations like that, where you're just collapsing on one target and then he went over the wall, but Anub'arak still had the E. Getting the camp out, Medivh caching mid lane. The Bird can always soak safely. Nothing too crazy has happened so far. We're not that different in experience. As you can see, we are a little bit different. TheOne has missed roughly 3 minion waves worth of experience, and they've given up that one hero kill for 400 experience. So it's actually quite a big difference. I take it back. At this point in the game, the amount of minion soak that's been missed by TheOne is actually almost unacceptable. I'm curious if Phoenix is going to make this rotation. Both teams getting their bruisers out at roughly the same time. Both bruisers will meet up in the top lane, so it's going to be a net neutral exchange. Hanzo with the level 4 Q talent is going to be able to do a lot of work on the shrine itself. in terms of stealing last hits. Misses that one, unfortunately. They have to be really careful about the Medivh portals. They really need to keep track of where everyone is standing, because especially with Portal Mastery at 1, if there's a giant clump of people, if people are all heading to the same location, then you just know they're going to portal onto your backline right there. And you can see Lockdown has the vision advantage in the lane, goes around all the way to the flank, makes sure they can't get out. Meng jumps towards him. That is not what they wanted to have happen, and Dami is going to have to portal out here, but being forced into this choke is not what the one wanted. That's a Lunar Flare down. That means they won't have any follow-up for Arthas Root, but Arthas looks like he's going to tap. Now he turns around. He actually comes back in, and Sign is just running at them. Lockdown, again, continued to be on that flank, completely unpunished, and Tempest walks away with 3 free kills. The one had insane decision-making there. I don't know what was going through their minds. They looked like they wanted to back up, but then they came back in, but they were still, that whole time, stuck in a really tight choke versus a Kerrigan Phoenix. Phoenix has a lot of area damage, especially with that level 7 talent combat advantage. And then he has Arsenal synergy as well, and he was proccing the repeater cannon shots consistently. Oof. Nice juke by Lies there. Kerrigan combo did not actually come out, but it looks like Tempest is actually going to be able to get the entire fort here. Normally off the first Punisher, we're looking at a wall. Huge shield from Dami at this point. Dami? I don't know why I said Dami. I know his name. And are we going to see the fishing? We are. This is something, again, with heavy stun comps, with a Medivh, you can go over the wall and then immediately get out. Looks like they will actually be able to get at least a keep tower here for the experience. They're being greedy and trying to go for the entire wall. And as a result, they don't get either tower. The greed was real. No follow-ups you see there. Lockdown manages to get away. They're going to get the camp on their way out. That would have been a significant experience jump. They're now on an XP interval where they don't have to fight, but they're going to choose to fight anyway. Cleanse and Protect coming out. We are going to see Lies ends up going down, and the body blocks from the portals. This is just a buttons problem. Right now, Tempest is just out buttoning the one. I don't know if one is tilted or what, but they are playing a little bit sloppy at this point. They're continually making the same mistakes into this Medivh comp over and over and over again. And given their mobility, they can't really afford to be making these mistakes. So this is now a 3-level deficit. Level 10 has been picked up for Tempest. And this is a situation where Tempest is on an XP interval. The one at their current rate of experience gain will not get level 10 before the next objective. At least they shouldn't. Which means that Tempest should win that one for free, and then they should get 13. So the one is going to have narrow windows where they can actually force fights on even talent tiers that are not going to be when the objective is up, which is going to make it very difficult to force. They're just going to have to run at the buildings. Beautiful portal. Nice zoning route. Sign actually misses Z, but none of that matters. Lies is going to go down. The fact that he was going to live is, in fact, a lie. And that can't continue to happen because it's going to be even further and further. You can see the one top trying to make something happen in terms of getting back in terms of the experience advantage. You know, they're just sieging that top lane. Hugo catching the mid soak. Ooh, actually catches Hyde on the rotation here. Tyrande ends up going down the top lane. This is a ley line seal just to get their cooldowns back. Once you've gotten that one kill, you're out of cooldowns, but if you throw ley line down, you can wait until the cooldowns come back up. It gives you 4 seconds essentially of leeway. You can see the Kerrigan combo comes back up, and Dami managed to secure 2 additional kills along with good. And they finally pick up this wall in the mid lane. Beautiful rotations by Tempest. Skirmish is happening all over the map at this point. They're essentially just running at the one and saying, if you can either back up and not get soaked, or you can fight us and die. And those are not great options to be given to an enemy team, but it is the way it is. And as a result of that decision making, there's just no chance that the one comes back in this game. They are now at a 4-level deficit. This Punisher should This Punisher should be able to at least get a keep, if not completely end the game. TheOne is actually going to have to fight past. So TheOne contesting this is just straight up a mistake. They need to group up and look to fight past the Punisher with the 10 to 13. Like, there's no chance that they save the keep. When you're this far behind, you have to do things that are desperate. I really wish they'd just like gone around here and like flanked from behind, but now we're gonna have a situation where they're forced to come all the way back to their base. This portal may actually, it's a fake. It's a fake portal. TheOne somehow caught on the flank here. I don't know what TheOne was doing so far away from her team. Normally there'd be a heavy focus on the sidewall here, but with portals especially, everyone can kind of bypass it. We're going to see the immediate cocoon onto Arthas so that he can get taken care of. We're going to have the root to follow up the Punisher as well. Punisher, better than most Hero League players, actually follows up on the CC chain once it's been set up for him nicely. Hanzo ends up going down. Absolute destruction this game from Tempest. This was a stomp. We're going to have 19 kills to 0. And another beautiful portal, 20 kills to 0. Can we make it to 21? That is blackjack, ladies and gentlemen. Tempest, that may be the first blackjack in the history of Heroes of the Storm. A 21 to 0 kills in a competitive game. I'm just kidding. It's not. There have been higher kill counts, but that may be the first exactly 21. And so let's look at another one. Look at another one. Core. Nope. That's the blackjack, ladies and gentlemen. TheOne said hit me, and Tempest said sure. Alright. So this is game 2, which has a far more interesting draft, and this being Tempest's second game, we can say something about what they're doing. And the thing we're going to say about what Tempest is doing is Tempest is drafting the same comp. This is something that every year I feel like at least one, if not all the Korean teams actually end up doing. They basically decide who the top teams are in a group and who the bottom teams are in a group, and depending on where they think they are relative to them, they only draft one style of comp. Generally, it's anchored by one or two heroes that have a lot of CC, and they essentially have a lot of kill pressure. So in this case, it looks like what they're doing is drafting Dami Kerrigan. They're drafting Sign of Nubrak, and they're drafting Hyde Malfurion. I think at MSB, they did the same thing in groups, and they used Uther. For Hyde, they just always drafted Hyde Uther. It's not that Hyde can't play other heroes. It's just that it gave them the CC option. This does get punished by smart teams, especially since Tempest does it consistently, because they see the first game and they're like, oh, we know what you're drafting. It's not that they can't play their comps, it's not that they haven't practiced their comps. It's that they're trying to hide information on what they think is good and just do well enough in groups to make it out without giving away too much information, which is quite a big deal. As for TheOne, Hugo plays a lot of Illidan, like a ton of Illidan. And in terms of relative, there's two things you really want to care about on Sky Temple. There's the ability to siege and the ability to wave clear, because you never have to fight on this map. Now, wave clear enables rotations. Globals are fast rotations, so we're looking at Hunt being here. Maiev can do camps, Phoenix can do camps, and Illidan can do camps. Maiev can clear waves, Phoenix can clear waves, and Illidan can clear waves. Tempest, Kerrigan can clear waves, and that's pretty much it. Li Ming technically has wave clear, but she has the exercises that Li Ming has to go through to efficiently clear a wave. She has to hit it from the side, are questionable. So we're going to be in the situation here where there's just significantly better wave clear on one team, which is something you really don't want to have happen. No spoilers. Alright, so on the left-hand side of the map, we do have, again, Sign on Anumarak, Dami on Kerrigan, Hyde on Malfurion, Lockdown on Thrall, and Good on Ming. Looks like we're going to see a lot of that exact arrangement of heroes. On the right-hand side of the map, we do have Hugo on Illidan. Mang on Maiev. Lies on Phoenix this time. Jungle Siege, thank you for the follow. Hee hee on Arthas and ZJZ on Deckard. Pretty standard talents across the board so far. We are going to see Battered Assault pick up for Illidan, so not going for Immolation to have more wave clear. He's going to invest more in his teamfight survivability with that Battered Assault. Pretty standard talents across the board. Otherwise, looks like we're going to have a little bit of a skirmish over Vision. You can see the Tempest is spreading out. It makes sense because the enemy team does have an Illidan. Illidan can get that early siege. And so they want to make sure that if Illidan goes to a lane, they have some sort of anti-siege. But once they see them at Vision, they immediately step up bottom here to get some poke damage on this tower. Literally every point of damage on buildings matters on Sky Temple. It's going to determine whether or not you end up ahead or behind. We're going to have TheOne versus Kerrigan. Classically speaking, Illidan does win versus old Kerrigan. It was kind of an interesting dynamic just because you could never land combo on him. There's going to be a huge gank onto Dami here. And the one actually does use Warden's Vault there. Gets the D off. And we're going to have a massive... we're going to have a kill bottom here. So 2 3v1s. I guess this was a 3v2 happening on opposite sides of the map and both teams securing a kill. Already doing better than last game. Phoenix, oh, you're correct. This is advanced targeting. Advanced targeting mathematically is just strictly worse than Arsenal Synergy, even if you finish it. So it's very surprising to see that. It was not the case at release. Did not see that talent pick up. Good shout out to Valhalla. I also, by the way, guys, just woke up. So hopefully I don't miss too much during these casts. Both teams getting out their siege, and both teams getting out their bruisers at the same time. So it's almost like there was a negotiation. It's like, okay, guys, we each got a kill. That's fine. How about we each get our siege, we each get our bruisers, and then we'll meet top lane? Sound good? Now, the problem here is, of course, going to be that the team with the better wave clear will push harder with their camp. And it's going to come down. Tempest is dependent on getting a kill here. If Tempest does not actively get a kill, and you can see there's a lot of vision control. Vision and then kills is the order of operations at this level of play. You look for vision and then you look for kills with your vision advantage. And Tempest is actually forced, because of their worst wave clear, to give vision away. And so now Arthas can step up here. They have vision of the entirety of the flank, although Thrall's not likely to make that rotation because it's not going to be worth it. Illidan can get that free clear bottom, and they're getting so much free chip damage here. They do get the Kerrigan combo onto Mang, but he gets to D any sort of follow-up, and there's too much crap in the way for Mang to actually do any damage, unfortunately. And that is enough damage, I think, that if TheOne gets top, they will actually get that entire fort going into this temple phase. Meanwhile, TheOne on bottom lane, Hugo, is going to be able to outclear Thrall here. And you can see Ming trying to do her best to clear the way from the side, but the minion waves are, unfortunately, even though she has the positional advantage there, not 100% in her favor. And gets gone on by Meng, gets the grab, but not enough damage. Does get behind the wall safely. Sign with the counter engaged. They're focusing on Lies. Lies does end up going down. Then they'd have the wave clear, so in that case, nothing was in the way, and they managed to get the follow-up. Hugo on the point. Should be able to get away. Nice friend or foe into Meng, giving him that. And he gets body blocked a little bit, and so much CC, but he is going to be fine for the moment. Beetle's tanking tower shots, which means they can dive as low as they want to. Mang with the sidestep. Does he actually manage to get out of here? No, Sign ends up running him down. And that was extremely close in terms of fights. The one, a little bit split at the start. They were only together after the kill happened. If they'd been together from the very beginning, maybe something different could have happened. Hugo, Wing away, trying to bait combo. Now he's just casually standing there. There's an entire untouched temple, but with a talent tier disadvantage 7 to 6, it's unlikely that TheOne is going to step up too hard. And Lies, meanwhile, in the bottom, catching this experience. You can see they're even catching the experience mid. Looks like they might go in here. They're getting ready to clear this wave, and they get enough experience. They may decide. You can see he's actually starting to posture for it. Phoenix catching mid lane. They are going to start to posture for it. This is going to be a 4v4, even talent tiers. They're clearing the wave, looking for that vision advantage first above everything. Hugo is on Sign. And one of the weaknesses of a new Brack is sustained auto attack damage dealers. He does a very small health pool. He can get melted exceptionally quickly if you can stay on him. And they are going to contest the point, and this is going to be it. Do they just... Oh, Sign actually getting caught up in the corner here. He does have E available still, I think, and he might have to use it just to get out of here. And that is not the position you want to be in. That's Maev getting multiple Q resets there. Does manage to get out. Mang is still looking for the Q resets. They're still looking for the spoke damage. And TheOne... Hugo, does he manage to get... He actually gets Kerrigan comboed, and that is not what they wanted to have happen. But they do manage to get the trade onto Dami. Kerrigan ends up going down. Sign extremely low. And with that kill, Mang is staying in here. Mang is like, I don't care. Potion of shielding coming in from Deckard. Hide on the back. Actually getting caught as well. And then what looked like it was going to go terribly for TheOne actually ends up being a 4-for-1 trade. Mang almost going down, but then lives and manages to turn that entire fight around. This is, one of the dangers of having a cooldown-based comp like this from Tempest. As soon as they get that initial kill, if it ends up that they're too deep and TheOne has enough cooldowns available, they can actually get a successful counter engage, especially if they're getting those Maev resets. They have cooldown economy advantage. Essentially, nice juke from TheOne. Good actually trying to anticipate the direction of the teleport with the Q there, which is strange because Phoenix looks in the way he's going to teleport. I don't know where those missiles thought they were going exactly. And immediately Hugo moving back to the bottom lane. And again, every point of damage matters on Sky Temple, so the fact that he's immediately going to the bot lane, not coming back top, not going back mid, going to the farthest lane from his team, and then immediately heading to Siege, they're going to get this pressure out. It's really important that Tempest gets this Siege out right now, because if they do not, there's a huge possibility that TheOne gets the invade and gets the double Siege camp pushing bottom. Bruiser's already out, pushing top. And again, the wave clear is showing. Every time we look at the mini-map, whether or not TheOne wins or loses a fight, Tempest's lanes are just always more pushed in, unless they are actively there pushing the lane out. So in this case, lane's actively pushed in, but look at this. Lane hugely pushed in for them, and hugely pushed in for them. They have to actively be there to push the lane out. The wave clear advantage is showing in the lanes constantly, even though... Oh, I mean, technically TheOne is up 5 kills to 4, but even though the fights have been very, very close, the laning advantage, the wave clear advantage, is constantly showing here. And again, we're gonna see taking vision away. They all showed in vision when they were taking that. That was maybe not the best decision. So now Tempest is strongly aware of where everyone is. They're gonna have time to clear, and they have the time to clear this. It doesn't. One Maev, a couple of Phoenix shots, they're going to be in extremely good condition. They can clear that wave and immediately rotate down. They do have level 10. It is going to be Metamorphosis over Hunt, so they do not have that global advantage that we were potentially expecting them to have. This is going to give Illidan more survivability in fights. He can use the frames to dodge a number of important things, and TheOne actually commits to top long enough to get the entirety of the fort. This is going to make them slightly slow on bottom. Tempest is going to get some of these shots for free. It's also going to kill their well. So they do not now have... They are in a fountain versus no fountain disadvantage at this point. But they are going to be able to come down here if they choose to. They're coming through this choke, but they're not getting punished for it yet. Beautiful zoning route, the Sunder, but Maev already had the E out. Phoenix gets super deleted, unfortunately. And we're going to see the lightning resets coming out. Maev ends up going down as well. Lornado trying to peel, but he off of the cocoon is going to go down as well. Beautiful CC chain. And that's really why you don't want to be late. Even though they did get top fort for it, I question TheOne's decision making in being late. Tempest had all the time in the world to set up there in any form they wanted to. They had all the paths of approach on their side of the map covered, and if TheOne made a bad rotation, they were absolutely going to get punished, which is exactly what happened. Snap boss call here, but I want to point out, again, Hugo already top, already putting this pressure onto the rest of the map. And this is why I really kind of thought we would see Immolation, because he's been so much in lane, so much just clearing waves, doing camps, sieging buildings, and Battered Assault does not help with that style of play at all. But it looks like they're prioritizing the late game team fight. Certainly so far, every brawl they could have taken, they have taken it. I guess TheOne never met a brawl they didn't like. Boss continuing to push. Some damage was done. No shots were gotten. So TheOne, a full fort down now. With boss off the map, TheOne basically needs to either look for fights or wait 5 minutes and then go for some sort of boss play. They're not going to win trading structures. Tempest is actually willing to give them a fight here, which is a huge mistake from Tempest. Ancient Blessings come out. Phoenix gets super deleted again. Phoenix has just been the target of choice at the start of every fight for Tempest, and that's not a situation. Good ends up going down. They do prioritize the Li Ming there because the resets. Beautiful Metamorphosis from Hugo, and Dami is going to be the next target. They should be able to get him down again. Illidan has a very favorable matchup in team fights into Kerrigan. Lockdown is now stuck on the Arthas, but this is going to be Illidan Arthas versus Malfurion and Uberak Thrall. And Hugo's actually coming in because he wants that Battered Assault proc. He really wants to get on top of them, but Arthas ends up going down. Can Hugo survive here? He gets the Q out onto the minion, and he is gone. He should have W up in a second. Jukes to the side to avoid the Q. He was trying to juke the Anubarak Q, but unfortunately, Sign was too smart for him. He was dead anyway. Did not need to use Q to make that happen. Oof, these have been knockdown, drag-out fights. Now 12 kills to 7. The experience of Tempest starting to show through quite a bit. Again, bruisers. But every time TheOne loses a fight, they're just back in lane. You can actually check out the experience. Only slightly more experience soaked in terms of minions, but remember that they've been dead for more of the game. So in terms of map up time, time alive versus minion soak, TheOne is way ahead. If they weren't taking these fights and were just focusing on soaking, they would actually be in such a much better position in terms of that. But considering how much they've been dead, it's quite good. Tempest invading Siege, taking that away. It's actually a huge thing because, again, Tempest lacks a significant amount of wave clear, and clearing camps is something their comp does not excel in doing. So if they take a camp away from Tempest, that's essentially a twofer. They get the camp, and then they don't have to clear it themselves in lane later. This Bruiser camp actually is threatening this keep wall, and if someone comes to push with this, it's going to be significant for them. But TheOne actually going in, 5-man bottom, classic 5-man Sky Temple from China. Meanwhile, Thrall on bottom point is going to get a significant amount of value, and all of the outer structures are now down, so this is going to target the keep wall directly. There's not enough shots left for it to get the keep, but this is now an open keep. Boss is going to be up in 1:50. It's something we have to consider. And he finally splitting from his team. They're finally starting to look for this pressure in the top lane. And if they're going to get this keep wall down. He's not showing yet. He's sort of waiting for someone to come. He's warding. I think he might have showed Envision on that wall. That was a pretty significant mistake if he did. Sign, grabbing the eye. Again, Vision and then looking for the fight. Hugo, meanwhile, was on the point. Got some of the shots, but they're not actually threatening this keep directly because there's still forts alive. This is another reason why it's very bad to be behind on structures on Sky Temple, because the enemy team gets on a temple and it's a significantly larger threat to your structures than it would otherwise be. And again, looking for the flank, checking. They know Arthas is there. That's why they're posturing up. Arthas does not have a gap closer, so he's going to be forced to just walk at them, which is less than ideal, shall we say. And again, the deletion of Phoenix. Phoenix just out of position every single fight so far this game. Ancient Blessings comes down. They're really trying to look for the Li Ming in the background. They cannot let the Li Ming have resets, and they do. So they're trading Phoenix for Ming in these fights. The Cocoon onto Arthas. Nice juke by Meng, but then the Kerrigan combo comes out. Lockdown, however, does end up going down in the background. They're trying to get the ZJZ so that they can win the sustain war without the support being alive. Kerrigan ends up going down. And Hugo is in Illidan heaven right now. Small skirmishes? Yes, please. At this point, this is not an even fight. This is a 3v2. Sign is sacrificing himself so that Hyde can live. He's waiting for his cooldown to come back up so he can eat over the wall. Maybe he'll get it in time. No, he will not. He's absolutely guaranteed to die here as that root hits. And that's okay. Still a significant structure lead for Tempest. They catch up slightly in experience. The main concern now is Boss, which is actually coming back up, so TheOne now has an actual win condition available. And you can see TheOne is actually all about the boss. They are just heading right towards it. They still have 27 seconds where Sign is not alive. It actually would have been better for Sign to have died faster there if he was convinced he was going to die. We saw a couple of W's go off But if he made that judgment call that he was going to die, he could have been back maybe as much as 10 seconds sooner, but I think at least 5 seconds sooner. But it looks like they're not going to be able to do it anyway. And TheOne has to end with this boss push. They're not 5 minutes from now. The game will be over when the next boss comes up. So despite their massive structure disadvantage, and the fact that this boss is going to have to push through both both a fort and a keep and core, they don't have a choice. If they want to have any chance of winning this game, they need to end with this boss. This is their shining moment where all the soak, all the wave clear, but the structure disadvantage is just too monstrous, essentially, at this point. We're actually seeing Meng rotate away. I'm really concerned that this is happening because it means that they might be trying to play for 20 advantage instead of going to the end. They're not going to even get level 19 off of that wave. They just needed to be here to potentially punish. So we'll see how it ends up working out for them. Boss at half health, boss at a quarter health as the keep wall goes down. Hugo gets a nice battered assault proc, is going to be able to get out of there. Meta's back in, juking this under. Meng just cannot seem to dodge these CC chains. He always Warden's Vault as he's already low on health. But Hugo's just insane. 1v4ing in the backline, does not get the battered assault proc, but now he's on core. He's on core, and Illidan on core is one of the scariest things in the entire game. Phoenix did not instantly die this time, actually manages to blink out, is going to die, but did not instantly die at the start of the fight. Core at 60%. Illidan unharmed. He's still at full health. He's on core. It's going to take him another 8 seconds. If they get him, no, they do manage to get the reset. And the Li Ming resets are real. TheOne, please. And he, with 264 health, closes out the game. Taking the first game that a Chinese team has taken this year, I think, off of a top team in an international tournament.